It's that time of week again. Welcome to Negro Please. I'm your host, Dallas Scott. My co-host, Mr. Hollywood Huff over there.
Yeah.
It's been a crazy kind of week in the news. Everything from the royal family, another baseball scandal. Biggie made the Hall of Fame. Does he deserve it? Or the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They're shaming Young Jock for getting a job. And none of that's even the craziest stuff going on this week. There's this dude, right? So you think that people in Florida do dumb stuff? You know who else does really dumb stuff? People from Wisconsin. Like, it's Florida is one, and then 1A is Wisconsin for just doing dumb stuff.
Florida's so bad it's called Florida Man.
Right.
Like, it's always like Florida Man
Right.
eats brains or eats somebody's face. Like,
right.
It's going to be Wisconsin Man now.
Yeah, Wisconsin's got like more serial killers than anybody in the country. Like, and it's not even like. So there's this dude, man. Like, his name is Austin Schroeder. He's 26 years old, and apparently he likes Method Man and Red Man, right? Because why else would you do this? He's selling drugs, marijuana to be specific. This is why marijuana should be legal in all states, right? Because this kid right here, his mom passed away. She was cremated.
Right.
So what does he do? He was like, we're just going to take mom's ashes and cut it up in this marijuana so we can sell it. And I'm going to smoke a little myself.
Bro, what goes through your head to make you want to smoke
Your mama.
your mom?
Your mama. It makes sense, right? Like, you know,
we not
how
even talking.
high are you, though?
Yeah,
right?
like,
You looking over there at the urn, be like, damn, that was like, was Method right? Was Method right? Like, can we really smoke this up? Let's see how high we can get.
who and what? Well, we know who, but why? There's no logical.
He doesn't give a reason
There's
either.
no. I'm so speechless. I don't even know what to say. I don't know
what you say, right? Like,
What
dude is like, we just gonna like, and then he sells it to other people, right?
I mean, beyond smoking it, like, this is your mom, though. Like, it's if I don't know, I can't imagine.
Maybe he loved his mom so much he wanted to share her with the world.
I can't. I don't know. I can't get past smoking a dead person's ashes.
Right.
And let's just say, for whatever reason, there was something that made sense about it. Like it was like, oh, if you smoked Gandhi's ashes, you'd be smart like Gandhi. Okay, but this is your mom. What is it? Is there not something? I feel like to everybody there should be something sacred about your mother.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like there's something.
Like, you don't ever want to picture your mom having sex, right?
Right.
Because there's just certain things about your mom you just like.
There's certain things you don't want. So even if smoking her ashes like gave you something that she had or something, I could never get past. It's just like, no, this is my mom. You don't, not this one. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I can't. I'm trying, but I can't. I don't know.
I just thought it was something funny to leave with, because like I don't even know, like, I mean,
people crazy, man.
Yeah, and like the police sent an informant to his house. He was able to buy a small lot, a little bit of weed. They broke in. Yeah.
And why? And who are you buying weed? And he's like, yeah, I put my mom's ashes in this one. Like, you know what I'm saying? And you
like your mama cooking saying, I put my foot in it.
Yeah.
Mama done put her foot in these greens this
like,
week.
Nah, son. My real mom's, she's in this one, son. What is he selling? Joints? Like, you just selling like?
I don't know.
Did he sell him a bag of? I don't know. White people sell weed different, man. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Let's get to Prince Hakeem. To be loved, to be loved. It's wonderful to be loved. Like, that's my new name for Harry, right? Because Harry renounced his throne. If Meghan Markle ever becomes single, I'm afraid to touch it, because that stuff must be so good.
Man.
I mean, like, he was just like, you know what? I'm not going to be king because, you know, my brother's going to get that gig. So I'm just going to go ahead and just give up all this money And
I'm out,
I'm
yo.
gonna move to Canada, man, because they got free healthcare. I mean, like, in all seriousness, no, like, I 100% get why he did this, right?
Yes.
Because,
yeah.
and I think he's right? Like, this is a kid who grew up without a mom,
Right.
because the British media was so fascinated by her, right? Because she was a commoner, she wasn't of royal pedigree, and when her and Charles got divorced, even when they were married, they just followed her everywhere.
Yeah.
Right? Every place she went, they were there. She died because they were chasing her and her new boyfriend in a car, and the car rolled over and got into an accident, and she died that way.
Allegedly.
I understand 100%.
Yeah.
He has a kid now, right?
Right.
I just wanted to put the Coming to American music in the back of this because it's
Please do.
She's your queen.
Oh man, that's the funniest movie ever made, man.
Oh, I'm so glad there's no coming out. But on the real though, like, he's trying to protect his family, right?
Right.
And not that he's not going to get media scrutiny in Canada.
Yeah.
But they're already like suing a tabloid. Her dad, who is estranged from her, and she doesn't even know him, is like testifying against her in court in England, like making up stuff. Like,
yeah,
I get it, right? You don't want your child and your wife. You want your wife protected from this, right?
Right.
You don't want your child to grow up in this thing. Like, you already know you're king or duke. He's the duke or whatever his title is. I don't understand how you go from.
He's royalty. Like you know who you are.
Right. So I don't understand, or I completely understand that, like, he knows that this is his life as a child, but at some point he's like, it's just not worth it.
Yeah. I mean, it's I the more I read about it, because people kept trying to spin it like, oh, Meghan's making him leave and she's making him do this and that. And the more that I'm reading about it, because there's not a whole bunch of information put out, but you start to see the way that the media treats her in comparison to how they treated her sister-in-law.
Right.
With like when her sister-in-law was pregnant, everything was so beautiful and she's doing this and that. And basically they take pictures of Meghan doing the same things and they're like, oh, she won't stop touching her belly and doing this and that. And things she did that was just normal pregnancy stuff. They made it seem like she was just overreacting or doing something illegal or something for attention. Or so the media, it gets very personal when you kind of haven't had that negative attention. And then you get this negative attention all the time, basically just for being alive, just for doing what normal people want to do.
He broke every rule, right, of the royalty. He married an American. Yeah. Married a black American.
Right.
He had children with her. And now, Harry, to me, is the strongest man that ever lived, right?
Yeah.
Because he just did him.
Yeah.
He didn't care about the bureaucracy of being royalty in England. He just did him. To hell with y'all. I'm in love with this woman. I'm marrying her. I don't need your stinking crown. I don't need your money. I don't need to live in a palace. And we out.
And from day one, not just the media there, but even the American media. I mean, media all over the world basically have bashed them as a couple, bashed her. I mean, I remember when they first announced they were getting married, people was like, "Oh, you're royalty. You could have anybody. Why this?" And then insert any negative words you can that they would call a black woman, which is what happened with her. The only people that seem to be happy about this is black women, who were vocal about it anyway, because she married a prince, right?
Right.
So, but look, going back to him, you see this man do something that's very strong, and the only statement I read is basically saying, "Look, this is the same game they play with my mom. I'm not going to play this game.
Right?
We're not dealing with this. Y'all can have all this. It's not worth it. I mean, you think his mother, not his cousin, not his friend, not someone he knows." This is not someone we're talking about. We're talking about his mom.
Right.
She died.
Right.
Died.
Because of the media.
Because of this, right? Because of this overwhelming need to know what these people are doing every single second. And he's like, you know what? We can go anywhere we want, do anything we want to do. Why do we have to deal with this?
Right.
And that's a message that everybody needs to understand is, hey.
And we've only seen this in movies, right? Like, people don't vacate crowns and royalty other than in movies, right?
Right. Disney movies.
We got a new producer this week. Jay, what's going on, James? He wants to get in.
I got a question. he's moving to Canada or America?
Canada.
Canada.
Does he think that that's not going to happen in Canada?
No, it's not that he doesn't think that it's not going to happen in Canada. He just feels like, as not a member of the throne, maybe it won't. Because, like, there's the thing. It's going to cost Canada like $500,000 a year to provide security for him.
Yikes.
Yeah,
That's
like he's still going to be under scrutiny. He knows that. He just doesn't want to be in the center of all of it.
So he renounced his throne. He's
He's
really
done.
a king.
He's like, I'm out. He
Well,
was never
yeah.
going to be king. His brother's going to be
Right,
king,
yeah,
and then his
so
brother has a kid already.
Yeah.
So his brother's kid would be king.
So he got to go Scar to get that. From
Right,
somebody.
right, right.
I got you.
Basically, yeah.
Right. He'd have to eliminate the whole family though. Like, so he's just like, I'm just not interested. Like,
But it's almost like in America, you're super famous, and everywhere you go, people just want autographs and they want your attention and this and that. But then you go to another country, everybody knows who you are, but they just think you're cool.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're not harassing you. They're not, chasing you down. I mean, they're going to be paparazzi wherever they go.
Right,
They're famous people, but it won't be to the degree that they have to deal with in England.
Right.
Where I don't even know how kings and queens are still even a thing.
right, because they don't
in
have any
2020.
they don't have
Right.
any political power.
Yeah,
Right.
I was thinking about that, and I started to try to look up, like, where do they even get money from? Like, what do they do? I don't understand this whole process of them being so important, and I got lost in it. Was just too much work. I was forgetting, but I'll figure that out later. But yeah, it was just. I think they'll be a lot happier just leaving England. They could go anywhere. I mean, other than it being cold, Canada's a pretty cool place, I guess. I mean,
You know what?
they got the Raptors.
Hey,
They got
def-
the rap.
the defending national champions. Hey, and maybe he likes hockey. I don't know. You need to sit your ass down this week. There's a group called 1 Million Moms. It's a conservative group. They want to stop the exploitation of our children, and they are very disgusted at Burger King right now. And I'm really disgusted at them because Burger King has a new commercial for the Impossible Whopper. And they said this man used the D word in the commercial. He shouldn't be allowed to use the D word in the commercial. I was like, I had to watch the commercial because I want to know what the D word was. And you know what I thought the D word was? It's not the same as what's in the commercial. The man in the commercial said, damn, that's good. The D word is damn.
Wow.
Damn. Like, we have to, like, protest Burger King because the man said, damn, that's good.
When I saw the D word too, I was very confused because I thought, like, it's no way. I mean, I'm pretty sure the D word I'm thinking is pretty much the D word everybody else is thinking.
Right.
And I was like, there's no way Burger King
put this in the ad.
and if they did, I got to see how they spent this. I have to know because.
So what? Did they say Donald Trump? Is that the D word we all thinking of? Oh, that's not what's in it.
I said, I got to know. And I watched it, and I'm like, I had to watch it twice because the first time it just
you missed it,
just
right?
went over my head.
I was like, a friend of mine
was like-
posted this on Facebook originally, and I watched it like 2 or 3 times, and I was like, wait a minute, is the D word damn?
Yeah.
He's like, yes. I was like, for real? This is how I picture these women, right? These are the Stepford wives, right? Like,
Yeah.
I picture them in their house. They all have blonde hair. Their makeup's pretty done. They got the little pink dress on with the little white apron in the house making cookies all day while the kids are at school. Like, and they have nothing else to do with their time, right? They'd be like, Karen, can you take my son to soccer practice with y'all? Sure, Jenny, do you mind taking my daughter to whatever class next week? Sure. Like, this is, I picture them all in one community, right? Like, they all live in, like, Alabama somewhere. Like,
I mean, I watched the commercial and I'm reading the article and I'm trying to figure out, what their thing is. And it's funny because the whole time, like right after the commercial went off and I figured out that was the word, I was like, damn, is the word? Damn. Like I said damn probably 10 times just reading this article now. I just couldn't wrap my head around it. And now the word damn is imprinted in my brain.
Burger King is so happy they got all this free publicity from these people, right? Burger King is living this. What's up, James?
And that's kind of the thing now. Now, like, it's all about free publicity.
Right.
Make
Right,
a mess and let it settle itself on social media.
Right.
Right.
Like, really, y'all need to try to find a way to, like, really make a mess on the show so we can make the news.
Oh,
But you're not gonna get it with the damn with the D word.
Right.
and that's where I I just keep thinking that's all that people have to do now, and there's going to be just people are offended about everything.
Do their kids go to school? That's the other thing I want to know, right? Like, are they homeschooling these kids? Because you can't tell me there's a kid who goes to school. I don't care if it's a private, uptight Catholic school or Jewish school or Baptist school.
Right.
Like, there is some kid in that school who don't pay his mama no attention, right? And is walking around dropping F-bombs all day.
Yeah.
He's not disciplined at home. And, like, he's just walking around. Like, they out at recess playing kickball, and the kid's like, catch this, you. He's just dropping all kinds of bombs. And the same mother's kid is at school, like he's in the principal's office because Jimmy said, "Gosh darn it, mom, that sucked." Ooh, you can't say sucked in school. Like, what? You can't. Their kids don't watch TV.
People have to learn at this point. Bringing attention to something is going to do your cause more harm than good.
Yes.
Like there are some things you have to bring attention to.
It's got to be something good, worthwhile bringing attention to.
Right.
The word
you know
damn.
What I mean? Yeah. Like
do they read the Bible?
They're
They're conservative Christian group. Do they read the Bible? Because the word damn is in the Bible. Like.
Yeah. I mean, there are people in this world, believe it or not, they have nothing to do. Like
literally nothing.
You can't go get a hobby. Go find something to do. Build a train set. Learn how to paint.
The problem is that it's the 1 to 10 rule, right? So put 10 people in the room. The person who yells gets all of the attention.
Right.
Yeah,
it's really not how everybody feels. We can all care less.
Right.
That one person, man.
It's funny you say that because we've worked in a casino for a long time, and it's always like people always like, but nobody's complaining. That's because the person who offended is not saying anything, right? The person who's truly offended isn't really saying anything. They're just putting their head down and going. That doesn't mean that nobody's offended because nobody said anything. Right. Now I'm offended that the word damn is all of a sudden this entire. I have kids, man. I can't even tell you how many times, like in my house, me as a grown ass man have said things like, even watching a football game. Like, I'm a frustrated Vikings fan, right? like, could you guys effing block somebody one time? So, like,
right.
Like, your husbands don't want, like, you can't tell me this isn't in your own home.
Right.
Like, I don't.
Or don't eat Burger King.
That's my stance on everything. Like, if you don't like it, change the channel.
Don't eat, yeah.
You know what I mean? If I don't like something, I just don't watch it. And you know what'll happen if enough people do that? They take it off the air because nobody's watching it.
Exactly.
I mean, it's true that there are some things, especially in media, if you ignore it long enough, it will literally just go away. It can no longer be supported because it's being ignored.
And we're going to talk about things that are go away because nobody's talked about it, like Bill Belichick and his third cheating scandal. But we'll go. We're going to come back to cheating in sports in a few minutes. This is something I just drives me crazy. We have this cancel culture right now, but we also have this shaming culture, right? We want to shame everybody.
Right.
I drive Lyft and Uber. It's good money. I'm not even like, it's good money. And I don't do anything but sit in my car all day and drive around in circles. I mean, really, like it's.
Right.
And Young Jock, the rapper, was apparently driving an Uber. Now, and somebody got in his Uber, recognized him, and started shaming him all over social media. Young Jock got to do this. Young Jock, he didn't fall off. He ain't making no more hit records. He got to drive Uber. So what? Remember a couple months, like a year and a half ago, this happened to Jeffrey Owens, who used to be on the Cosby Show. They caught him working at Costco or Home Depot or something like that.
Right.
Like, this man has a family to feed.
Right.
He's got to feed him. He's got bills to pay.
Right.
He needs a job, right? Like, we see this all the time in people in Hollywood, like where you'll see them like in a bunch of movies, and then you'll be like, what the hell happened to Edward Norton? Like, Edward Norton had a movie. Right. Like, he was one of the best actors he was considered one of the best actors in Hollywood 10 years ago. I don't think he's had a movie in 10 years.
Yeah.
Right?
If he did, it was like some small artsy, it wasn't a blockbuster movie. Nah.
So why do we have to shame people for working?
You know, I can't figure it out. I always think, I remember it was a few years ago. I want to say it was what's his name? Is it Cole from Martin?
Yeah.
I can't remember his name. And they found out like
something
he was
Payne. Something
it ain't Martin Payne. No.
No.
I keep thinking Martin. It's something Payne.
Carl Payne. Yeah. Thank you.
so he's like a car salesman in LA or something. And it's the same thing happened. Like somebody tried to shame him, like, oh, you know, after Martin, I guess he couldn't get a job and now he's, you know, doing this. And like what people don't understand is when he was on Martin, that was his job.
Right.
Like that job was in the limelight. Like he had a job. He had to show up every day. He had to practice his lines every day. He had to, you know, do promos and whatever they had. He had places he had to clock in and clock out, basically. That was his job. That job no longer exists. It went out of business. The Martin show ended, right? I don't know if it was canceled or if they ended it or what exactly, how it came to an end, but he got laid off. So he had to get another job. That job was as a car salesman. Like as an artist, you don't just show up and decide, hey guys, I'm about to rap and make this record and y'all gonna put it out. Like artists, rappers, actors, people who you see on TV, they are hired by companies to do a certain job. Young Jock was hired to make some albums. His album sold up until a certain point. I don't know if he still has a record deal or independent deal, or I don't even know what's going on. But the dude trying to make some money. So he's doing Uber and Lyft.
Is he still on those like Love and Hip Hop shows?
Yes,
I think
and
so.
So
Yeah.
like he's come back and said now that he works with the Atlanta Boys and Girls Club, and he was just trying to show kids that there's nothing wrong with making an honest living. And he's 100% correct. There's nothing wrong with making an honest living. But the people who are shaming him now are doing the opposite, right? They're telling kids that you can't make an honest living.
Right.
Yeah.
If you make an honest living, people are going to make fun of you. And you brought up a really good point earlier.
Yeah.
What job do these people who are shaming him have?
Exactly. Where do they work at? That's what I want to know.
Like you work at Target and you shaming a man for like.
Number one, you're riding in his Lyft.
Right.
So you don't have a car.
Right.
And you're videoing a guy who has a car, using it to make money.
Right.
Talking about, he's fell off. He's a bum now. Yeah. I mean, who are you? You in the back of my car.
Did they say what kind of car it was?
I don't know. It doesn't.
Because it wasn't like a Tercel or anything like that. Like,
nah. It was probably just some,
right.
I want to say like just an average car that.
I will say that it does give a new meaning to Meet Me in the Trap. It's going down. Meet me in the mall. It's going down. Anywhere you meet me, guarantee you're going to get around town. Amen.
No, like, I don't understand why we have to shame people for doing normal, everyday stuff.
Right.
This is something that 1% of Americans are celebrities, right? Like it's
Right.
small. If it's even 1% of Americans are successful musicians, actors, directors. Like it's such a small portion of people in America that are actually very successful at that job. There are a lot of people out there who, not to say that they're not talented, they just haven't had their break yet, who are doing normal everyday jobs, still trying to work the hustle that they love, right?
Exactly.
Because you have to pay bills. You got to feed your kids.
Yeah.
So why do we shame people for life?
People don't understand how the media works. People don't understand how people get into Hollywood. There's you always hear these stories about how like Will Smith passed up on The Matrix and Keanu Reeves took the part, right?
We see this all the time, right?
And it happens all the time. You don't know how many struggling actors there are in Hollywood and in Atlanta now, which is like Hollywood number 2.
Right.
That are just like struggling, and they have a job and they're doing part-time movies until they get that big break where they do a role
Deja,
for $700,000 or something.
She's now on that city. She's the judge on Bluff City.
Yeah.
But like she worked in radio, and every night she'd get off the radio, she would go to these acting classes for 10 years, 12 years. You know what I mean? Like
right.
I worked with Deja in Charleston, South Carolina in like 1996, right?
Yeah.
And she finally got her first like TV show. It was on a Showtime show, and it was like 2013.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
Where she was like a regular like. They did like the first 2 years they did like 20 episodes, and she was in like 10 of them, and they were really small speaking parts. Like it was on the show Banshee. She was like the secretary in the police department, right?
Yeah.
And like 10 episodes she had like one line, but like she did that, right? And then she got another gig and another gig, but it took her from 1996 to 2013 to get to that point. You know what I mean? Like she struggled, she studied her craft and did her thing for, was that 17 years. Damn.
And people,
You know what I mean?
People
And
don't
now
see
she's
that,
able to
right?
make a living at it. But for all those years, she had to keep her radio gig to be able to do what she really wanted to do.
And there are plenty of people who we see that are famous, and people don't understand that just because they're on TV doesn't mean they're millionaires.
Right.
When Friday came out, Friday was a huge movie.
Yes.
Everybody knew Friday. We were quoting it, and we thought, oh, this is great. That movie took 2 weeks to make.
Right.
Chris Tucker got paid $10,000 for his role in that movie. We talking about Chris Tucker.
Yeah. And it's one of the most iconic movies for the black culture ever.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. And so you think everybody watching this movie feels like, oh, this guy's a superstar now. This guy is big time. He got paid $10,000, which is what, 2 or 3 months worth of wage?
Right.
Before taxes?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so he still has to work. He was a comedian at the time. Right. So he's doing comedy stuff, but this movie now puts him in a spot where, okay, you were a comedian in the movie. That got him to do other movies.
Rush Hour. Now you can get right. But he took, and you know who made money off Friday? Ice Cube.
Ice Cube. Right. You know,
that's his movie. He wrote it. He produced it. He put all the he made money off that movie.
Right.
Nobody else made money off the movie. Speaking of rappers, y'all gonna hate me for this. Biggie made the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this year.
Ooh.
Bravo.
I mean, I don't see it. Like, honestly, I don't think Biggie's one of the greatest rappers. Biggie's not even top 10 rappers to come out of New York City.
Ooh.
Wow.
He's not.
Send all your emails to Dallas Scott.
No,
at NegroPlease.com.
The Negro Please at gmail.com. He's not. Hear me out.
I'm listening.
Jay-Z.
Okay.
Nas. 9 members of the Wu-Tang Clan.
All right. So,
Hold on. Talib Kweli. Most Def, or whatever his name is now, because I can't remember.
Yasin Bey.
Yasin Bey. Rakim.
Okay.
I mean, there's so many guys that were before Biggie and have done bigger things than Biggie. If it wasn't for Puffy's beats, we wouldn't know who the hell Biggie Smalls was.
And here's my take on this, because this has always been my argument when people go, oh, Biggie's the greatest rapper of all time.
That's also an untrue statement, but okay.
Right. You know what I mean? Because people always say, oh, Biggie and Pac is 1 and 2, and it's just a preference of who you think they are.
No.
And my argument, like, it's different for each of them. But my argument with Biggie is time out, slow down, let's rewind. Biggie had 2 albums, only 2 albums, and everything else was either features or something from a mixtape of him freestyling. Biggie was a dope MC. Do not misunderstand me.
He was a
you know what I mean?
great writer.
Biggie told great stories.
Yes.
Biggie was dope. But I don't think his catalog is big enough to warrant the credit that he gets.
Right. And
you understand what I'm saying?
There are guys like Ice Cube.
Right.
To me, like
yeah.
And I was just talking about New York. I haven't even got to Ice Cube. Dre, Andre 3000, Big Boy, Scarface,
just all of
Scarface.
Yeah.
There
were so many guys that had this. Like, if it wasn't for Andre and Big Boy, Southern rap would have never been a thing.
It was Biggie came out in an era of the East Coast West Coast thing, which put him and Pac and just made them so much bigger than the actual music that people tend to go at that instead. People remember how that era made them feel. And the music just becomes a part of that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
I have something to say. Right. I think when you get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, it's what did you do for music, right? Okay. Not if you were the best New York rapper or the best, right? Because the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is in what, like Seattle or something like that?
No, it's Cincinnati, Cleveland, Ohio.
It's in a small, it's like a little small city, right? Like you wouldn't even think of.
Well, Cleveland's the size of Vegas, so like it's
right. So it's just small. But it's what did you do for music? And if we think about that time in the '90s where Biggie and Pac were going at each other's heads,
right.
And then Bad Boy and Death Row, those labels going at each other's heads. It was just a New York thing. New York rap was New York rap.
Right.
When Biggie and Tupac did it, it just became hip hop.
Yeah.
It just became this thing.
I agree with
so
that.
It almost took it to a whole nother level. I mean, you can put Wu-Tang in there, but Wu-Tang is definitely New York rap. Nas at that time, New York rap. Talib Kweli, New York rap. Chicago rap was Chicago rap, but that East Coast West Coast thing became a national thing.
But if it wasn't for the so-called East Coast West Coast rivalry,
Yeah.
would we have cared?
I do think that at that time it was growing, and they were really some of the first artists and labels. Let's say labels, so, to really cross.
Then Suge Knight should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame too.
He could be.
I mean, like based on what you're saying, right?
he could be.
Because see that's where like the lines get construed.
Dre
because,
is not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
And see, this is what
But
I'm
he
saying.
definitely will be.
He should have been first.
Yeah, that's a thing where
Like Dre started that, right? Like if it wasn't for NWA,
It was really Snoop.
according to
Cussing at
Snoop
everybody.
at the Source Awards,
according to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, they're not just looking at his catalog of
Right.
music. They're
This
looking
is a
at everything that James
Right,
is
his
saying
contribution
is
to
his
music.
there are
contribution to
people
music.
who had
which-
bigger
yeah.
contributions to hip hop
Oh,
than
100%.
Biggie that are and before
But
that,
not
that
many though. Who?
I'm gonna have to say Dr. Dre.
Easily.
I have to say
NWA in general, right? Because
Yeah.
they made before NWA and even Too Short, hip hop was an East Coast, New York, Philadelphia kind of thing.
That's a fact.
They made you
But-
realize that you can, and
But they're in
They
the Hall
changed-
of Fame, right?
who?
NWA.
I
No.
think
Their NWA is in the Hall of Fame.
it's in the Rock and Roll Hall of
Well,
Fame.
I got to Google this right now. Like, I'm pretty sure. I don't think that. So
Ooh, we googling y'all.
Yeah.
Everybody.
NWA.
Twitter fingers.
There we go.
Yes, they are. They are. You're
They
right.
are-
You're right. Yeah,
they-
you are.
So, in a sense, Dr. Dre and Ice Cube, as at least a unit, which started them, are in the Hall of Fame. So, because they're in the Hall of Fame, we get it. They were the people
Yeah.
who put most
They
on the
just got
news.
in. Yeah.
Eazy-E met with the president at the
Yes,
time.
right.
They did amazing things for music. Now, when it comes to Biggie's as an artist, his contribution, yes, 2.5 albums, whatever you want to call it, the double disc,
Yeah.
whatever, right?
But no, he had the people always forget, like he had the Junior Mafia album too.
Right.
So,
but
like,
that's why
yeah.
I say
Right,
2.5, right? But if
yeah.
you want to count the double
Right,
disc, maybe
right,
3, right? Biggie as an artist, maybe not so much. Biggie as a brand did a lot for music.
Yeah.
Should
Who
he
created that brand?
Take that. Take that. Take
Yeah,
that.
I get it.
Puffy
but,
did. Like, right, like.
but is Diddy in the Hall of Fame?
I don't think. Let's find out.
I don't know.
Did he?
Puff Daddy, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. If he's not, then there's no argument for Biggie.
Diddy celebrates induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
When was it?
Biggie's induction into the Rock and Roll
It said-
Hall of Fame.
Oh, is Diddy?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I'm because it's a lot of them just Biggie
Got
react.
it.
Biggie
So,
reacting to that, yeah.
and saying all of that, I feel like
Puffy orchestrated it.
he
So if
definitely
Biggie's
did.
in, then Puffy should like if it
Yeah,
like
it's,
not that Biggie's lyrics weren't great, but when you think Hypnotized by Biggie, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? It's that beat at the beginning, right? Like it's one of the greatest intros to a song of all time. That
Diddy stole all those beats too.
Oh,
agreed.
100%, yeah.
But
He didn't even have enough decency to change the key. He just found the open spot. Wait, they not singing right here? Rap over that.
yeah.
Juicy, rap over that.
But you know,
but he was smart enough to know that if he put a good rapper, I'm not saying that Biggie's not a good rapper.
That's a fact.
I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that as a rapper and an MC, he's not up there to me.
here's the thing. It's not that I don't think he's up there. I just think there's a lot of rappers who do not get credit for their contributions that are above Biggie.
I'm gonna tell you,
You
who else
understand what
is
I'm
not in the
saying?
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and gets so much disrespect when it comes to hip hop. And he finally got an award like 2 years ago, and it was from BET. Luke.
Yeah.
Luke completely changed hip hop, right?
Luke made-
when he put
yeah.
2 Live Crew on and
Right.
Pop, I
Mhm.
mean, like,
Come
and me,
on, baby.
hey, man, yeah,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
like we
That's
so,
2
me
Live
so
Crew.
horny, like that crew, like 2 Live Crew stuff. He gets no respect, not even from like. Forget about not getting respect from like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He doesn't even get respect from hip hop artists
Yeah.
when Luke was in the basement making mega selling records, right? Like Luke
Well, this
sold
is-
millions.
And this is the thing where you look at like commercial and you talk about awards and stuff where, you know, me being from St. Louis, where I never, to this day, people never stop talking about Nelly and all the awards Nelly's won. But those awards are not necessarily for his contributions. Those awards are for selling records.
Right.
Right. And in the era he came out, it was just, you got a nice hook, you got a nice beat, and you hot, you gonna sell records. Like, that's how it was back then. Nelly is probably a more decorated and more award-winning artist than Rakim.
Right.
There is no way on God's green earth you're going to tell me that Nelly is a better artist or rapper or anything in this genre than Rakim.
Right.
That's true.
Nelly might be a better businessman, 100%. But as far as hip hop goes, if there was a hip hop dream team, Rakim's my first pick.
Every time.
Because
Rakim is the reason that Biggie exists.
Exactly.
Rakim is the reason, like,
a lot of these guys
exist. Like, people heard Rakim and they was like, damn. Like,
do
how do I do that?
You can listen.
Don't say that D word. We're going to get that.
Rakim's lyrics can stand at any timetable of hip hop. You can break hip hop down into any 5-year period and play a Rakim song, and it will fit in that genre.
I always tell people that Rakim is your favorite rapper's favorite rapper.
He has to be.
Yeah, like he's
he was the first rapper to just basically, like, him and KRS just use constant rhyming, constant metaphors,
Multi-syllables.
Everything. Everything you want a rapper to be is Rakim. And for whatever reason, he's still around.
Juice wouldn't be as good as it was.
No,
without
right, you know what I mean?
That was,
Like, every so often, Rakim comes out with another feature or something, right? And we all just like, man, we need a Rakim album. I don't know why it ain't happened, but
because he's 50 years old.
We
and,
need
like,
and that's the thing.
He actually might be close to 60. Like,
in my mind, when I see Biggie inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, my first thought is, okay, they're looking at all the commercial success of Biggie. There are things like there's things that's still with Biggie because Biggie was dope. That Biggie is up there. You know what I mean? And I don't want to pull Biggie down, and I'm happy there's another black artist in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but there are so many artists who I feel like have done more for not just the culture, but for music in general. And hip hop artists just don't get credit for doing things for music in general. And most times they don't get credited with, for having like these like poetic lyrics. You know what I mean? They're not studied as like some country music artists are or alternative music artists are. But
so in the Facebook chat, Freddie says, there's no Puffy or Bad Boys without Biggie. And I'm going to say it's reversed. There's no Biggie without Puffy and Bad Boy. Because Puffy, Mary J. Blige made Puffy. Uptown Records made Puffy.
Yeah,
Puffy is the one that went to Clive Davis and was like, with the whole Big Mac, McDonald's thing, and was like, I got Craig Mack and Biggie here. Like, if it wasn't for Puffy, nobody would know who the hell Biggie was.
Right.
Biggie wasn't like this big rapper and then went to Puffy and Puffy laid down some tracks for him. It's completely the other way around, where Puffy went and found Biggie and was like, hey, remember, we've all seen the movie, we all know the story. Biggie didn't want to do Juicy. He thought it was corny as hell, right? Like, he was like, this is dumb. I ain't rapping over this old crappy ass record, blah, blah, blah. And Puffy made it a hit. Puffy produced it, engineered it, and made it a hit.
Without Puffy, Biggie would be in the era of somebody like a Big L or a Talib Kweli or a Mos Def, where we see them as this dope artist. They can rap good, but they would have never sold multiple millions of records.
Right.
We wouldn't have been not to the extent
and
that he did.
If he hadn't died, I still don't know that the legend. And this is we do this to people, and it's sad. Like, when people die, they all of a sudden become this legend, right? Whether it's deserved or not deserved. I'm not saying that Biggie didn't deserve it, but his death added so much more to his persona, right?
Yeah.
Because now he was, as you said, he's the East Coast martyr. Like Pac was the West Coast martyr. So that gave him some, like,
it's the legend is always bigger than what it actually was. Right. And the confusing part here is that the thing that actually was is pretty big.
Right.
You know what I mean? Biggie was huge. Right. You know what I'm saying? And then he died, and it just went to this astronomical, like, it's like the Jordan flu game. Everybody remembers the game, and Jordan had the flu, and he was still doing Michael Jordan stuff. Right.
And it was funny, because I'm glad you said that, because the other day, LeBron had a good day, and they're like, oh, he got the flu. But he showed out with, like, the game that I think they played the Mavericks the other day, and they was like, oh, he wasn't feeling well. Now that Jordan had the flu, Kobe's had the flu.
Yeah.
Vince Carter's had the flu.
Kobe
Like,
had broken fingers.
Right. Everybody got something wrong with them. And it's actually, let's go back to Willis Reed, right? Like, Willis Reed came back out of the locker room with a broken leg hanging on, like, couldn't jump, but made a jumper, right?
Was it Rondo broke his arm?
Right.
In the game.
And see, and that's the thing. Like we remember the game, but then when we talk about it 15, 20 years later, it wasn't just the flu game. He jumped from the 3-point line and dunked on somebody with the flu. He hit 15 threes in a row with the flu. Like it's all of a sudden, it's like, wait, now y'all going so far overboard that what actually happened is being tarnished. Right. And it's not believable.
It really,
you know
what
what I mean?
Shoes was red and black. And that's the only reason why
Right,
it wasn't the shoes.
Yeah. It was the shoes. You know what I mean? He had, extra ounce of Gatorade. Like, I mean, it's just, the legend always becomes so much bigger that we forget that, like, wait a minute, bro. Like it's funny talking to young people, especially about, like, Biggie and Pac, because I'm like, wait, bro. I was alive.
Yeah,
like,
right.
I was there. Like,
I've seen Biggie in concert, right? I've seen Biggie in concert, like, and his concerts were boring as hell. I'm not even gonna lie. So I'm not, and again, I'm not saying that Biggie's
Did you expect him to
good.
move a lot? Is what I'm trying to figure out. Were you expecting like a big old dance
Heavy
move?
D, Heavy D. I'm just saying, Heavy D.
Heavy D wasn't as heavy as Big.
And again, like, I'm not saying that Biggie wasn't good. I don't see the Hall of Fame before some other people.
I feel that.
I just feel like Scarface, like, he did so much for hip hop.
I do believe,
and he's such his lyrics. Like, if you go back and listen to Scarface lyrics, and honestly, if you're gonna put a rapper who had one album in the Hall of Fame, it should be the DOC.
Okay.
I think that's kind of, where were you born? Where were you born?
Huh?
There's an argument there.
When was I born? 1973.
Where?
Oh, I was Minot, North Dakota.
Okay, never mind. I thought that was coming from like a West Coast perspective.
No. You can't tell me that the DOC wasn't one of the greatest lyricists. And he had one album, and for people who don't know who the Doc is, he was part of like the whole Doc. Yeah.
Man,
look up the DOC. Like, his whole album was incredible. He's one of the best lyricists of all time. He got into a car accident. Dre produced his album. It messed up his vocal cords. He couldn't rap anymore.
He was still spitting on that, though.
He was.
Yeah.
Like, but he like, if you're gonna give a guy for one album, the DOC, I mean, like,
yeah.
you take DOC's one album against Biggie's first album,
right?
You can't. Like, it's
But then also remember, this is the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, so they're basically just talking about music from the perspective of people who listen to rock and. It's called the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, not the Hip Hop Hall of Fame, not the Black Music Hall of Fame.
I get that. So it's funny you said that because a friend of mine brought up the other day that about people complaining about people like rappers getting into the Hall of Fame, right? And his point was that rock and roll was stolen from black people to begin with.
Talk about it.
Right?
Yeah.
So, like, if you're going to have a rock and roll Hall of Fame, you better have black people in it. Because if it wasn't for black people, there would be no rock and roll.
Come on, Chuck Berry.
Yeah. And there's actually a lady,
Berry.
and I can't think of her name. Like, I just watched this documentary about rock and roll, and before Chuck Berry, there was this black woman, and I cannot think of her name, but they like show these videos of her playing the guitar like 5 years before Chuck Berry, and she was amazing. Like, and they're like, she was the first person to speed up blues and make it rock and roll.
Right,
and then
right.
Chuck Berry was the first person to like get fame for doing it. Right.
Yeah.
And there are so many people who stole
Rosetta Tharpe.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Sister
Rosetta
Rosetta.
Tharpe. Yeah, Sister Rosetta Tharpe. And she was gospel doing those rock guitar riffs. Like, it was amazing. And there were so many people who were white artists and other artists that stole from black culture.
Like Elvis?
Yes. Elvis.
I mean,
see, like, so here's the problem. Elvis never gave credit to black artists, right? When the Rolling Stones and the Beatles stole from black artists, they were like, whoa, you got to check out my man here, right? Like,
they stole from a country.
Right.
Yeah.
But they were never lied about it. They were always open about it. They were like, no, man, these are Muddy Waters riffs. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they were like, no. Like, we listen to these guys, and that's why we do what we do.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, Elvis was like, this is me. Like, I didn't even know that Hound Dog was originally sung by a black woman. Like, so like he stole this stuff and put it off as his own. Where like I said, the Beatles, Mick Jagger and them, the Rolling Stones, like they gave credit to the people they stole from.
Yeah.
And that's a big difference. And they're all in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but the people they stole from aren't.
Right.
Why is that?
Well, it's because they're black. And I'm just gonna say it.
Big Mama Thornton.
I mean,
Big Mama Thornton sang Hound
I
Dog.
mean,
Hound
just-
Dog, yeah.
yeah, it's one of those tough things where whenever you have art is very subjective, and art has so many opinions behind it. We can sit here and argue about, just the three of us can argue about where Biggie's place should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. If you add 5 more people to the mix, we'll be talking about this for 6 months.
Right.
I mean, you know what I mean?
Right.
Lord, God forbid. I mean, how long did Leonardo DiCaprio go without winning an award? And we all know that man has award-worthy movies since he was like 15.
Fact.
You know, I mean, so art
Talking
is
about
always
Gilbert Grape.
subjective. And then when you have to start, and then when you have to start comparing one artist to another and put things together, everything is subjective. Then it comes to
I'm gonna
what can I
switch
relate
subjects
to?
on
You know
the
what I
Hall
mean?
of Fame for a minute, and
So
I just want to talk about actors
so
for a quick
tough.
second.
Yeah.
But like you're talking about people like Leonardo DiCaprio, right?
Yeah.
Like, in my opinion, there's probably 4, maybe 5 Best Actor awards that Leo probably should have won.
He could have got,
That he could have got, and then he finally got one, and he was a great in Revenant. Like he was really, really good in that movie.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
he was-
hands down,
but he's
yeah.
good in everything, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
Aviator was a GOAT.
Yeah.
A GOAT movie.
Wolf
Yeah.
of Wall Street.
Wolf of
Like,
Wall Street was good.
Throw a rock and pick a movie.
Right. And Insidious, like there's so many, like, I mean, movies that he did you could have gave him an Oscar for, and for whatever reason, this is Hollywood, right? The people in charge will just decide they don't like you,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So we're not going to give you this award because really, like Tom Hanks, and to me, a generation is 20 years.
Yeah.
Okay, does that make sense? Like in my
Yeah.
mind, I'm thinking a generation is 21 years.
Yep.
I was like,
Right.
so are Tom Hanks and Leonardo DiCaprio in the same generation?
Mm,
They're like
they definitely overlap.
right.
You know what I mean?
Because I think like
Uh,
Tom Hanks is like 11 years older than Leonardo DiCaprio,
Yeah.
right? And so is Denzel. So like they're kind of in the same generation. So like when I think of like greatest actors of our generation, Tom
Yeah.
Hanks,
Right.
Denzel Washington, Leo is up there with all of them.
Right.
I think people sleep on Robert Downey Jr. just because he did all the Marvel movies.
Yeah.
But if you go back and look at like Less Than Zero and Chaplin and all these other movies, like he doesn't get his respect as an actor because he did all the Marvel movies. But he was like legit
he's still
crazy.
a beast.
Yeah,
though. He's still, yeah.
First of all, even though it's kind of like it's like a quirky movie, but what was the detective movie? The Watson and
Sherlock
yeah,
Holmes.
Sherlock
Sherlock
Holmes.
Holmes.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
killed,
yeah.
he
Sherlock
killed it.
Holmes.
I was
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
mad at Sherlock Holmes because I thought the guy they put in there to play Moriarty wasn't deserving to be on the same screen as Robert Downey Jr. when they made that movie, and he made him look like stupid. And they should have put Kenneth Branagh in that part instead of letting Kenneth direct the movie. He should have been he should have been Moriarty because the guy who played Moriarty in that video in that
kind
movie
of
was
stone face.
Yeah.
like he was way overshadowed by Sherlock Holmes, Robert Downey Jr. in that movie. What's
People, you know what? To us as the fans, they don't normally get the notoriety that we think that they get. The
Right.
way that they gave the feelings that they gave us, the emotions that they let us go through when we were watching their movies was something extremely. If it changed us, then we feel like they should have gotten an award for it.
Right.
And to be honest,
right.
out of the 8 to 10 movies sometimes that are nominated for Best Picture, how many did you see?
Right.
And,
You know what I'm
and that's the thing
But
is, and that's what I was saying about earlier, like in referencing Biggie. A lot of it is when you talk about like these people in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, like a lot of them, they don't listen to hip hop like we do,
Nah,
you know, and when they do, they can't relate to it like we do.
exactly.
And so even like going back, looking at Halle Berry when she won her award for Monsters Ball, I went and watched Monsters Ball because I was like, what is this movie about? Like everybody's talking about, I want to see what this movie is. I watched this movie. And in my mind, I just kept thinking, this is Halle Berry's worst performance I've ever seen in my life. This is so terrible. She is
Batwoman or
this is
Catwoman
not-
was her worst, but it's right up there.
but it was. But I just kept thinking, I know people who have been in a similar situation as this character, and this is just terrible acting. Like this is not good. I don't. And so when people would throw out the rumors like, well, she only got it because she had sex with Billy Bob and. You know what I mean? And that, like there was a big scene, the sex scene with her, and
right.
it was like the second movie where she got nude in, and this and that. And it's like you kind of start to give credit to things like that because you start to think she's had so many movies. Halle Berry's had a lot of like drab movies where she's just, she showed up, she got a check, she did her job decent.
I think that
But then there have been some movies like Losing Isaiah where she was actually really good. And it was like, well, wait, how did she not get an award or not even a nomination for, these handful of movies over here, but then she wins it for this?
That's how I feel about Cuba Gooding Jr. winning for Jerry Maguire. Like, when you watch Jerry Maguire, I'm like, what's so special about this? And it really makes me mad because he beat Edward Norton out when Edward Norton did Primal Fear. And I don't know if you've ever seen Primal Fear.
I have.
Edward Norton was so good in that movie.
Right.
Like, for those of you who haven't seen it, it's been out for 20 years. Too bad. I'm gonna spoil it.
Yo, bad.
Right. Like, Edward Norton plays a guy who's not the guy they think he is. Like, he plays this guy, and he plays the lawyers and the system so well that they think he's this meek, weak kid who was abused by Catholic priests, and that's why he killed them. And when you find out at the end, he was like,
and he's doing all that from prison.
Yes. And they're like, I can't remember the two characters' names.
I'll find out
because he plays like he had to split personality. And at the end, he says something like, people think that the weak personality is his real personality, but at the end, you find out that it's the strong personality that's his real personality, and he just set everybody up to get off. Like, he was so brilliant in that movie, and he played both sides of that personality so good.
Yeah.
All right. Now, I put this last because we're going to talk sports. And we have to talk about it because everybody else in the world is talking about it. The Houston Astros. They use technology to steal signs, and they got caught. They got a $5 million fine. Please, we don't know. Like, I'm gonna get to your Dodgers in a minute. we don't, like, AJ Hinch was fired. The general manager was fired. They're not doing, like, this is player driven, but none of the players are going to get any type of penalty. And I understand why, because they don't understand, like, how do you pick and choose what player gets what penalty? Like, because how involved was this person? And like y'all two really did it, right? I only did it once. You did it 20 times.
Right.
You know, like, how do you decipher all that? And I understand that. For those of you who have been sleeping under a rock for the last month and a half, like, they stole signs, which is something that happens in baseball all the time. But you're not allowed to use technology. And when this story first came out, I was like, who cares? Right? Because people have been stealing signs from pitchers and catchers in baseball since the beginning of time. Yeah. It's just part of something you try to do.
Right.
We live in a technological age.
Right.
Right? So it's just a natural progression, right? That, I got a way that we can get a better way to do this. So let's use this technology to do it. So when I first heard this, I was like, nobody cares. Like, this is really not that big. I still, now I kind of waffle on it, right? Because the extent that they did this was ridiculous. Like, when you think, when you listen and you read part of the reports that are on ESPN and stuff, like, they set up cameras in the outfield, they set up cameras. Like, they didn't put them in the dugout because they didn't want to get caught, so they put them, like, in the hallway to the dugout so nobody could see them doing what they're doing. Yeah. Like, so they knew they were doing wrong.
Great job on not getting caught.
Right.
Yeah.
And I guess the reason I feel like the penalty is worth it is because in August 2017, the New York Yankees accused the Boston Red Sox of cheating. MLB investigated it. They didn't find any wrongdoing. Rob Manfred sent out a memo, and he was like, this will not happen. I'm paraphrasing here. This will not happen. Like, we do not do this. You will not do this.
Yeah.
This is not going to be done in Major League Baseball, period.
Right.
Once he sent that memo out, anything you did after that, you're guilty of. Right? Like, if you see the memo and he's like, this isn't going to happen, right?
Yeah.
It's like your dad telling you, like, you're going to be in this house at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Right? You going to be in this, not 5:01, not 5, you're going to be in this house at 5 o'clock, right? So at 5:01, if you in the house, you get your hands whooped, right? So it's the same thing. He told them, you're going to be in the house at 5 o'clock, and now they was like, the hell with him. Like, we just going to do it anyway. When you're that blatant on it, you deserve the penalty. My problem is that baseball is a cheating culture.
Oh,
it always has been.
They've always been cheating in baseball.
Since the Black Sox scandal, right? Baseball is a cheating sport. We can go from the Black Sox scandals to the uppers in the 70s, steroids, spitballs. Like baseball is a cheating community. Like it's just what they do. The Dodgers, we don't know that they weren't cheating.
We ain't found out yet. But being from Los Angeles, I don't think we would do that.
Of course not. And people from Houston, it's funny because you listen to people from Houston now, right? And they were defending them at first. They're like, oh, we didn't do that. And then when they found out, now they're like Houston Astros fans that are ashamed because they're like, that's why do we have to go that far? Carlos Beltran stepped down today, which means like either you step down or you're going to get fired. Like
he basically,
you know who's next? Is the New York Yankees. Even Alex Cora made a comment last year that the best free agent hire the New York Yankees had in 2018 was Carlos Beltran because he knows how he operates.
Right.
So you don't think that Carlos Beltran took this to the Yankees? It's just,
of course.
Especially when he knows that Alex Cora took it to Boston.
Look,
like he's your chief rival. And you know what he's doing. He knows what you're doing, right?
You trying to win.
Right.
Use cheating, whatever you can to win.
In some sports, cheating is just a part of the sport. Like it's not if they're cheating. Everybody is cheating. It's what can you get away with?
Right.
How good are you at cheating? Some sports like basketball, there's less of it because it's harder to cheat.
Right.
Like it's only 5 of y'all on the court. There's 15 cameras, 3 referees. Like it's so much going on. It's so hard to cheat.
But we let you travel now. And
but we'll let you travel. The ball will go out of bounds. Like there'll be a bad call here and there. It's harder to do now because we got like 5 million megapixel cameras. And even though we know you slapped the ball out, we can rewind it and see that, it grazed the thread on his shorts before it went out. So now it's your ball again.
Right.
So you look at like NASCAR. These guys cheat so much. I remember there was a guy, they basically built there's like a plate in between like the carburetor and the motor where the air comes in, right? Yep. And they put a plastic one in, and it's supposed to be a metal part, right? Because the engine gets hot. Right. Plastic will melt. They put a plastic piece in so that once the engine gets going, like through inspection, they painted this thing, they made it look silver and they made it look like it was metal. Once the engine gets going, once the car gets to going and the heat builds up, this plastic part melts off. And now there's like 10 times the amount of air can come into the engine, which makes the car go faster, right?
Gives him more horsepower. Yep.
Right. So like his first 2 laps, he's good. Like his 4th lap, all of a sudden he's got a turbo in his car. It's basically what it was. They found this guy cheating, right? They found him. I think he got like a fine or something. There was another thing I read about. Somebody was putting water in the roll cage to add weight to the back of the car, right? Because you can't add weight. You can't do these things. These fools drilled a hole in the top of the roll cage so that only the back of it would fill with water and then welded it shut, right? Somewhere there was in the bottom a small hole in the weld and they got caught because water was coming out of the back of the NASCAR, the back of the race car. They will cheat as much as they can to try to win because there's millions of dollars on the line. The only reason we care about cheating in baseball is because of Jose Canseco. If he never comes out with that book and tells on everybody about steroids, baseball will continually have swept all of these cheating fiascos under the rug. Because before Jose Canseco, nobody cared.
Right.
Everybody was on steroids. Nobody cared.
You
see what I'm saying?
I feel like every era of baseball has to have an asterisk by it for some reason, right? Like the steroid era,
right?
The Black Sox era, the uppers era, the no blacks in Major League era.
Talk about it.
I mean, because we talk about Babe Ruth as the greatest hitter all time. That's because Josh Gibson died before they allowed black people into the in MLB.
Right.
And Babe Ruth never, he was never faced Satchel Paige or any of those other guys.
Exactly.
So there has to be an asterisk by every year or every generation of baseball because there's always something going on, right?
Right.
It is the most cheated in sport that we know of all time, right?
Right.
I got to give Rob Manfred credit, though, because he played the dad role right. Like, he just said, like, I told you if you did this, this was going to happen.
Yeah.
And he dropped the smackdown, right?
But
we're seeing this
$5 million a smackdown?
It's $5 million and 4 draft picks.
For the next 2 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
2 draft picks each year. That's huge in baseball.
But they still have a team that won The World Series.
Right. But you have no. But you're going to bring another manager in, so you don't know how that's going to affect those guys.
Good point.
Yeah.
You're going to bring in another GM, who, I mean, I can't think of it's like their GM name is like keeps dropping out of my head.
Right.
But he architected that team. Like he put that team together. He
Right.
built that. I think he needed to go for a lot of other reasons because of like the feminist remarks he made a few months back about what's his name that was doing the abuse to the woman, and then he was like kind of offhand talking about the female reporters, like it's a good thing we have him here in our team now. Like he was going to slap the female reporters. Like he probably needed to go for some other stuff he did too.
Yeah.
But as far as baseball goes,
Yeah.
he's the man. Like, but as far as like a human being, he just looked like a piece of trash. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
So
Well, you don't have to be a good guy to play sports.
you don't, and
You got to be good at sports.
right. There's this misconception that sports people are these good people. So I give Rob Manfred credit for just laying down the smack. Like it's not gonna happen. And the Red Sox are gonna feel the brunt of it. And I really feel like the Yankees are gonna feel the brunt of it. And somebody on ESPN made a really good comment. Will Kane actually brought up something that I never thought about, right? The Astros cheating affected so many people. You know why? Because of gambling.
Yep.
Ah.
Yep.
Will Kane was talking about this on ESPN. There are so many people in this country who lost money because Major League Baseball teams were cheating.
Mm-hmm. And this always brings up an interesting point because I always feel like you can rob 10 million poor people and nobody will care. You rob 1 millionaire and you got a problem. Bernie Madoff is in jail not for ripping off
People,
thousands of people. He ripped off the
rich
wrong,
people,
wealthy,
right.
rich folks. And that's why he's in jail, because it's broke people getting ripped off every single day.
There's a great documentary about like Dracula and the history of Dracula. And they believe that the first Dracula was actually a woman. And it was this like rich aristocratic woman who would like kill younger women and drink their blood because she thought it kept her young and beautiful.
Yeah.
And as long as she was keep doing this to peasants, people knew it, but nobody cared.
Right.
And then when she went after a rich guy's daughter and killed her, all of a sudden she's gonna be killed and burned at the stake
She's
or whatever.
A witch. We got to
right.
do something about this.
When she was doing it to peasants, like, so you're right. Like it's when you do it to the wealthy people who can defend themselves.
I'm wondering which one of these MLB executives lost a bunch of money. You know what I'm saying? In that series, and then realized, well, wait, there's a sign still in this, and he made a phone call like, "Hey, I want some heads to roll."
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, because anything that you don't like could be considered cheating.
Right.
If it hasn't already been established as a rule, then I feel like, man, he's cheating.
Right.
I mean, even what was the movie that Jonah Hill and Brad Pitt were in? And you remember they
Moneyball.
Moneyball, right?
Moneyball.
So that whole system of picking teams and how to choose your teammates and when to put people in and so on and so forth. If there was a rule against like using computers to try to figure out your team, that would have been considered stealing or cheating.
You know why it wasn't?
Because maybe they didn't pick a rule. They didn't make a rule for it yet.
You know, because it was highly unsuccessful.
It was not. It actually won.
What did the Oakland A's ever win?
Well, not the A's. I'm just saying that guy went to another team and
Billy Bean's still with Oakland.
No.
Not Billy Bean, the guy who was Jonah Hill.
That system.
Right.
He went over to
another
the Red
team
Sox,
and then they won.
Gave them the same system and they won that following year using that system.
So,
but the thing was there was no proof that system kind of even worked, and then it became a thing. Well, you can't really stop these guys from doing that once they had already done it.
Right.
And so now everybody
cheating.
does it. Right.
I don't consider it cheating, but I'm just saying it's just what you don't like.
Right.
Because
and
if everybody's doing it, if everybody's sign stealing in baseball, it's just, I figured out a better way to do it.
And that's how I felt. That's how I felt originally.
Yeah.
Like my original thing was like, who cares? Like people been stealing signs in baseball. I mean, you put a guy on second base, and his job is to try and steal the signs from that's his job.
Yep.
Like once you you sacrifice a player over to second base so he can see what's going on. Like that's just been part of baseball.
That's a leadoff.
Right. And so my first thought was nobody cares. Like why is this even a big deal? Because people have been stealing signs. But to me, again, I really don't care. But once Rob Manfred sends out that memo that says this will not happen. Yeah. You will not do this. If it's going on, stop it now. Now you have openly and defiantly said, we don't care what the commissioner thinks. We don't. We're just going to do this anyway.
Yeah, it's definitely. it's one of those things where the thing I like about baseball, which is getting harder to find things to like about baseball now, but they actually enforce their rules. And now it depends on who they're going to enforce their rules with. But when they do enforce the rule, it's legit.
Right.
I mean, it's like these are 1-year suspensions. Like if you get caught using steroids now, it's I can't remember. It's something ridiculous,
it's 80
like 80 games or
80
something
games
like
the first
that,
time.
which is like half
And most
the season,
of the time they get it ends up being 60 because they appeal and they get the 60. Yeah.
But it's still it's a huge penalty to get caught breaking the rules in baseball. And so a lot of people think like, oh, that's pretty extreme or whatever. Like, no, extreme is losing to people who cheated. Like that's what I feel for the LA Dodgers. Like they got the worst of this.
Like, because it's, to me, and this is why I don't feel bad for the Dodgers. We know that they mostly did it at home, and the Dodgers they mostly did it when they were in Houston, but the Dodgers lost Game 7 at home.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
But we don't know. Like, I just assume all the time.
Yeah.
In baseball, we knew everybody was using steroids, right?
Yeah.
There's probably like 6 guys in all of baseball who weren't using steroids at the time. Like Roger Clemens has never been convicted, like publicly like outed that he was doing steroids.
Yeah.
But you think Roger Clemens is in the locker room, right? Knowing that everybody who's hitting against him is using steroids. You think he's not using steroids?
Of course. And as we went through the whole period after steroids where they were like, oh, baseball's taking a slump, and then they tried to come out with no, pitchers are better. And it was like, no, the hitters aren't as strong.
Right.
Because those home runs are now pop flies into the outfield.
Right. And last year they juiced the ball.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And now there's
isn't Major League
like, yeah, they're juicing the ball.
All of Major League Baseball cheating then? Right?
Yeah.
If you juice the ball to give the hitters an advantage over the pitchers, then why do you care about sign stealing?
Right. Yeah.
Right.
That's the beef because they still have to sell tickets.
Right.
And home runs sell tickets. Like that's what people come to see baseball for.
I love baseball. Like I'm a huge baseball fan. I love the Minnesota Twins. Like I will watch. I'm actually the guy who will actually watch a baseball game on TV. So I feel like I hate these unwritten rules of baseball. Like a batter can't show up a pitcher when he hits a home run, right? He's not allowed to flip the bat because that's showing up the pitcher. But on reverse, you watch a pitcher strike a batter out.
Tiger Woods
with 3 guys on the base, bases loaded, bottom of the 9th, 2 outs, and he strikes that guy out. He's fist pumping, jumping up and down.
Right.
Like, how is that not showing up the batter? Why is that like? Why is one acceptable and one isn't? There's actually a thing and I've been waiting for somebody to do this, and it just happened like 2 weeks ago in Venezuela, where a pitcher hit a batter with the ball, and the batter took the bat to the mound.
Yeah,
he went after him with the bat, and you're throwing at me at 100 miles an hour, 95 miles per hour. You hit me on purpose. I can swing this bat at you at 80 miles an hour. Like,
because you can kill me with that ball. And that's the thing that I hate about baseball, where they still allow these pitchers to retaliate, and the only penalty for hitting somebody with a ball is they get to go advance to the base.
Yeah.
And I feel like for whatever reason, whether it's a loose ball, whether it's just a wild pitch, whatever happens, I feel like every time a player gets hit, there should be some sort of investigation.
There was the guy from Cleveland in the 90s that got hit by, it wasn't even an intentional hit. He got hit in the face.
Yeah.
He played for the Indians. I can't remember who it was. He got hit in the face with a baseball, and it ended his career.
Yeah.
Like the pitcher wasn't throwing at him.
Right.
He just lost control of the ball.
It happens.
And it hit him in the face, and it messed up his eye and his side of his face.
I remember that.
Yeah, I can't remember his name. I want to say his last name is Martinez, but I'm not 100% sure. Or Ramirez, but
either of those names sounds about right.
He I want to say it was Dennis Ramirez, but I'm not 100% sure. And it ruined his career. Like, he couldn't play anymore because he couldn't see out of the corner of his eye.
Yeah.
Right? So he couldn't swing a bat anymore. If you can't see, you can't swing the bat. For as much credit, and I'm going to bring this up because there's baseball punishes management and owners. Right? You cheat, we're punishing you. You're getting the organization's getting fined.
Yeah.
We've banned these coaches for a year. Alex Cora is going to get banned for long. Beltran's going to get banned. NFL, they go after players.
Right.
This is the third time that Bill Belichick has been caught cheating in the NFL.
Yeah.
The third time. And yet we haven't even heard like what the penalty is yet, right?
Yeah.
My guess is they'll lose a draft pick and probably get some stupid fine like $3 million.
Right.
How is Bill Belichick not kicked out of the league for a year or 2 years? Like, this is the third time you've been caught cheating.
Or
In
banned.
fact, right. Like,
Yeah.
not only are you getting caught cheating, but you're getting caught cheating doing something we told you couldn't do the first time you did it.
Right.
You already did this once and got in trouble for it.
You got your slap on the wrist already.
Right. And now you're like, he recorded the Jets, and now
Yeah.
he's recording the Bengals. And this, he didn't know we were. The hell, he didn't know you were doing it.
Man, look, and people try to say like, oh, well, it was only like the Bengals. Like, it's not like he needs to cheat. But dude, it's a professional football team.
Right.
It's not like this season was so great to Brady and his receivers either.
Right.
You know, so you have to understand the mentality of people who are trying to win, which is they want every edge they can get. That's why there is cheating in every single sport.
And you can't be mad at them for wanting the edge, right? Like,
Right.
because you
And
want to win.
that's the thing.
You play the game to win.
We get why you're cheating.
Right.
Okay, so I have
However,
something to say.
you're cheating.
I have something to say to that. So how far do we go with being okay with the idea that I just want the edge for my opponents, right? Because we're dealing with the same thing at a national political level, right?
Right.
Donald Trump, which seems like the worst things, right? And not to just like induce his name into this conversation, but he found somebody that can possibly give him an edge. And because it is considered a law, which to us it just seems like, look, you got some information on my opponent. I need that information because I am in this to win this.
Okay.
But there gets to be a point where there is a rule or a law or whatever it is about what you're doing in the sake of competition. So there's nothing wrong with wanting or trying to gain that edge. But when there's written rules that says you can't do this specific thing,
Right.
That's why I go
And
back to the
then
Rob
you do-
Manfred
right.
thing in baseball, right? Like, up until the point he said, you better not do this.
right?
Okay, I get it.
right, exactly. Then
But
anybody
he
that's
says,
trying to get an edge,
you better
right.
not do this. But I'm going to continue to do it anyway.
Right.
Bill Belichick was already told, you better not be recording practices.
Right.
But then he did it again. Like, until somebody says, this is what can't be done,
Mm-hmm.
then you're okay. But if there's something very specific in place that says you cannot do this,
Right.
and you cross that line, then you deserve to be penalized for that.
And I also just want to say, as a black man, I was not taking up for Donald Trump. I just wanted to put that out there in the ecosystem. But I am saying that as when you're in competition, you're saying, I want to win. What do I have to do to win? I have
Right.
to work harder. I have to be stronger.
Right.
But if the person working as hard as me and they're as strong as me, where do I find my edge? Where do I
So-
find my thinking? Where do I find my strategy?
There's a great story from Chris. I'm sorry to cut you off.
I don't agree with cheating, though.
No, right.
No.
There's a great story from Chris Paul who talks about the Clippers were going to play the Lakers, right?
Mhm.
And he comes out before everybody comes out of the locker room. He's going to just shoot around and warm up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he comes out, and Kobe Bryant is out there, right? And Kobe's out there. He don't know how long Kobe's been out there, but Kobe's been out there for a while, right? And Kobe's doing on his thing on the other end of the court. And Chris keeps doing his thing, and then Kobe keeps doing his thing. And, like, Kobe will not leave the court until Chris leaves the court.
Yep.
And Chris asked him about that, and he's like, what's up with it? He's like, I want you to know that I want it more than you.
Yeah.
Right? But he didn't cross a line, right? He's putting he got
Right.
it mentally,
Yeah.
right? Because he put in his head like
It's a mental thing, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And Kobe showed that he was willing to do the work. If you're gonna take 1,000 shots, I'm gonna take 1,001.
Yeah.
You know, like
Right.
that's where you go for the competitive edge, right?
It's the same thing that Mike would do, like when he would be in weight, when they would do the weigh-ins, and also when they're in the ring and the ref talking to him. Mike wouldn't take his eyes off of
right.
his opponent because he's like, the moment you break eye contact, I got you. I
Right.
beat you.
I beat you.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. And there are many things you can do to your own physical body and your own mental preparedness to push yourself to that edge,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
Without taking steroids and without doing things. But once you cross that line, and like baseball players knew they weren't supposed to be using steroids. There were tons
Right.
of stuff about using steroids.
Right.
There were tons of memos. Don't use steroids. That's why they were synthesizing them and making them so they could not be detected on those tests, right? Because they look at Russia for an example right now, right?
Mhm.
Russia, the Olympic team knew
Yeah.
since the beginning of the 80s, they have been saying no steroids in Olympic sports. No steroids in Olympic sports.
Right.
You've been doing this over and over again and over and over again. You get caught. Russia cannot compete in the Olympics
Right.
Right.
because they're like, you know what? We've had enough. We
And-
told you can't do this. You did it. You're done.
And it's to the point where now they really don't test for steroids. They just test for masking agents because everything from boxing to the UFC to football, they're not just taking the steroid. They're taking something to try to cover it up.
Right.
Right.
Smoking
So
weed
they-
and drinking cranberry
Right,
juice.
right, right.
You know what I mean?
right.
So they know. So like
You know
said,
you're doing something
They're
wrong.
not testing for weed. They like how much cranberry juice this
Right,
dude's
right,
been
right,
drinking.
right.
You've
Cranberry
drinking an
juice.
insane amount of cranberry juice
Right.
in the past week.
Yeah.
You clearly are trying to cover something
Right.
up.
Why you
right?
pee burgundy?
Exactly.
There's this dude for
But
the
you-
Minnesota Vikings a couple years ago, Orlando. God, I can't. They called him the Wizinator dude because like he was smoking weed. He went to take the drug test and he used a thing called the Wizinator, which is it's a prosthetic penis with a bag attached to it, so he could put somebody else's urine in it
Right.
and
Right.
Yeah,
make it look
yeah.
like he's urinating. Like
Right. Right.
so,
Yeah.
he did that to cover up. I think his name was Orlando Smith or something like that. But he did that to cover. Like he knew he was doing wrong. So
Yeah.
when you
It's like guys whose P tests come back and say they're pregnant.
right,
Because that's happened.
Yeah,
to
who was that
athletes,
dude?
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
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 that happened not too long ago.
A
I
big,
mean, it's,
that was a big story too.
yeah. I mean,
It's like,
it's,
wait, your son is pregnant?
Right.
No way.
You know what I mean?
Yo,
it's one of those things. Even in you look in
Congratulations.
bodybuilding, right? And Mr. Olympia, those guys are on steroids.
Clearly.
Like nobody wants to talk about it, and it's so obvious, and they're on steroids.
no, they talk about it.
To the point that in bodybuilding, you have to have like either this is a natural event where we're going to drug test before, during, and after,
right,
or it's a whatever you want to do kind of event.
right.
And people still look at these people and go, "Oh, they're jacked up. That's the only way they can get that way." Well, they're trying to win a competition, and they will do whatever it takes to win this competition, and that's fine because in that sport, it's legal. There's no drug test. It's frowned upon, I guess, but people ain't even frowning no more. It's to the point of just don't talk about it.
We frown
you know?
because their bodies look horrible.
Right.
Well, yeah, of course. You know, they're starting to do some things to kind of bring it back to
There's-
you
there's
having
di-
a decent physique.
Yeah, there's different
to
types
match,
of
but
bodybuilding
yeah,
competitions now. There's like the natural bodybuilding.
yeah. There's a classic physique that's come back, and then
And especially in
a
women's
new one is coming
bodybuilding,
back.
there's a much more. I don't want to say feminine, but it is. It's a much more
Yeah.
feminine competition.
Right.
Where like
Where you still look like a girl after.
yes,
Gotcha.
Yeah. So there's a lot more where it's not just like the open is always still going to be the most popular one because that's the biggest, most
that's
jacked
the
people.
one with the money.
But the one where people are kind of like, you know what, I could look like that guy and still be decent. Where there's height and weight requirements. Like I'm 6'3", I can't be on stage more than 233 pounds. So
Got it, got it.
so
Oh,
being
that
so being
weigh-in
in
should be a big
right.
part of it.
So being
Ah.
in proportion, even if I'm on steroids, it might help me get jacked and cut, but I'm capped at a certain size.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
You know, where these guys in the open, they can just get as big as they can possibly get,
Eric
and
chi-
usually the biggest, most ripped wins.
Right.
you know?
Eric chimed in. He said that we should let athletes use steroids because it's for recovery, right? Like steroids.
Some of
really,
them are, yeah.
Yeah,
So
but
it's
the
an
majority-
ice bath.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But if you've never had torn muscles and stuff, and like steroids help put that back together, it will get you on the field faster.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, I would rather have a guy use a real testosterone that's better for him
Right.
than pumping him full of
Deer
the-
antler juice. And,
no the drug
the synthetic.
the pain drug Taladol. They
Yeah.
pump
yeah,
them
yeah.
full of that so they can get back on the field like today. And it's not because they're Toradol. Yeah.
Toradol.
Yeah. They're not better. They just can't feel the pain
yeah,
they're in.
yeah.
Right. I watched the Aaron Hernandez thing last night, and there's one of the guys on there. First of all, if you haven't seen it, go watch this thing. This is crazy. It's 3 parts on Netflix. It's really, really crazy. We're gonna talk about it next week because I don't want to give any spoilers away because it just came out. But there's a guy on there talking about how he was 18 years old. He went to the University of Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Right. And he's like, after the game or before the games, like all these guys are like lined up with their pants down taking these shots.
Yeah.
And he thought they were taking steroids. But in
Yeah.
reality, they were getting these painkiller shots, so they couldn't feel the pain. So when they got on the field, they could play.
Wow. And that's the crazy part, because there are some, that's what people don't know about steroids. There's like 50 drugs lumped into performance enhancing drugs.
Right.
Some of them are just drugs that, are not really good for you. They just kind of jack you up to do what you want to do. But a lot of them are kind of natural things that your body actually creates. But when you turn 30, your body stops creating them, or you just don't create as much of it. And so giving your body more of this will help you. It's almost making you like Captain America. Like
Right.
you just get like this, youthful healing back,
But as much as you
know?
get them, the one thing, baseball especially, like this is why the steroid era, as a baseball fan, like the steroid era, I feel like gets a bad rap because you still have to have hand-eye coordination.
Mm-hmm.
And baseball, like Eric is saying, it'll help you get on the field. It doesn't necessarily help your performance. Yes, it'll make you a little stronger. But if you're, we all see where Barry Bonds went, like, right, his body size, right?
Yeah.
But
He still can hit the ball.
yeah, Barry Bonds was the greatest baseball player before steroids. He was the best. You can't even, like, I don't even let, like, not Mike Trout, like Barry Bonds was the greatest baseball player I have ever seen before steroids. He had hand bat speed. He was hitting home runs out of the park. He just thought, if everybody else is doing it, why am I giving Sammy Sosa
And Mark
50 home run and Mark McGwire 50 home runs? And I'm a better player than him. Mark McGwire isn't in the Hall of Fame. And my opinion is he doesn't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame because he's a lifetime 250 hitter, and all he ever did was hit home runs. And he played first base, which arguably is the easiest position to play in baseball.
Yeah.
Right?
That's where you put your slugger.
Right.
Like, oh, you got a bat? Play first base.
First or third,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like, and not even third so much anymore because the hot. Yeah, but if you got a guy that can hit like hell, you put him on first base, right, and teach him how to stretch.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, everything's coming to you anyway. You
Right,
just gotta
right,
have that
right.
wing
Just
attack.
you go take some yoga classes and hit the ball. That's all we
Right.
need you to do.
All
So
the pot belly players either pitched or played first base.
yes, except for Kirby Puckett. All right, guys. We have a new not Facebook. We have a new YouTube page. It's the Negro Please on YouTube. We have past episodes on there. I will get all the up to date probably in the next couple days. By Monday, I'll have all the episodes on there. So we need 1,000 subscribers on our YouTube page. So go subscribe. Tell your friends to subscribe. Help a brother out.
Please.
That's Hollywood Huff. I'm Dallas Scott. Thank you, James, for sitting in for Quan and being our producer today.
My man.
You contribute a lot more and better than he does. Again, this is Negro Please. We'll see you guys next Thursday, noon Pacific Standard Time. Thank you.